Saturday night, midnight, everyone in your house is asleep. You're sitting 3 feet from the TV with the volume turned down to almost nothing, one finger hovering over the record button on the VCR. Because for the next 2 hours, and only the next 2 hours, the entire world of heavy metal was going to come pouring out of that screen, and if you missed it, it was gone. Here's what I want to talk about today. Kids now can watch any metal video ever made, instantly, for free, on a device in their pocket. Every video, every live show, every interview, every demo some band recorded in a garage in Tampa in 1988, and yet somehow, I'm not sure any of it means as much as those 2 hours on Saturday night meant to us. So the question is, why did Headbangers Ball feel like a lifeline? And what did we actually lose when metal became infinite? Stick around, because by the end of this, I think you're going to remember exactly what that felt like. Let me set the stage for anyone who's blocked out the 80s as a trauma response. If you were a metalhead back then, you were starving. I mean, informationally starving. There was no internet, no streaming, no message boards, no algorithm serving you new bands. Metal existed in this weird underground dimension that mainstream media pretended didn't exist. MTV during the day, pop. Radio during the day, pop. Pop, classic rock, and more pop. You'd flip through the channels and it was Madonna, Phil Collins, Whitney Houston. And you're sitting there in your denim jacket covered in patches thinking, where are my people? If you were there, you remember this feeling. Metal was everywhere in your life. Your bedroom walls, your Walkman, your notebook margins, and nowhere in the world around you. We were a nation of kids convinced we were the only metalhead in a 50-mile radius. And then MTV threw us a bone. Headbangers Ball. Saturday nights, late, deliberately late, because even MTV wanted us tucked safely away past midnight where we couldn't scare the advertisers. But we didn't care. We would have watched it at 4 a.m. Some weeks, thanks to a delayed broadcast or the ball running long, we basically did. Think about what that show actually was for us. It was the only place on television where you could see the bands you loved, not just hear them, see them. You have to understand. Before that, most of us knew our favorite bands as album covers and tiny photos in Circus and hit Parader magazines. I knew every square inch of the Rain and Blood cover, but I couldn't have told you what Tom Araya looked like when he moved. Then Saturday night comes, Ricky Rachtman or Adam Curry is standing there, and suddenly there's the video, there's the band. They're real. They exist. Somewhere out there in the world, this music is being played by actual human beings in actual rooms. That sounds ridiculous now. But that's how isolated metal was. But the ball wasn't even the whole story. Because 6 nights a week, there was no ball. 6 nights a week, we had the radio. Sort of. Let's talk about radio because this is where it gets almost funny. Daytime radio would not touch metal. Would not touch it. Your local FM station would play Livin' on a Prayer 9 times a day, but Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, forget it. Too heavy, too dangerous. Too likely to make the PMRC ladies write angry letters. My parents thought I had joined a cult. Radio programmers apparently agreed with them. But if you knew where to look, and more importantly when to look, there were cracks in the wall. Late at night, I'm talking 11 p.m., midnight, sometimes later, certain stations would quietly hand the keys over to some long-haired DJ who actually got it. And for 1 or 2 glorious hours, the metal show came on. Every city had its own version. Maybe it was a college station on the left end of the dial, where the signal was so weak you had to physically stand next to the radio, holding the antenna like you were performing surgery. Maybe it was a commercial rock station that let one brave soul do Metal Shop or the mandatory Metal Hour after the normies went to bed. You'd lie there in the dark, radio on low so your parents wouldn't hear, and this DJ, this beautiful anonymous stranger, would play Merciful Fate, Voivod, Celtic Frost, stuff you could not hear anywhere else, stuff the record store 2 towns over didn't even stock. And here's the thing kids today will never understand. You couldn't pause it. You couldn't rewind it. You couldn't look up what you just heard. If the DJ didn't back announce the song, that riff would haunt you for years. I'm not exaggerating. We all did this. sitting there with a blank cassette in the boombox, finger on record pause, ready to strike like a cobra the second something good came on. Half my metal education has a DJ talking over the intro, but here's the part nobody talks about. The best part of Headbangers Ball wasn't actually the videos. It was Monday morning. Because Monday morning at school, you'd find the other 2 or 3 metalheads. You knew exactly who they were. We could identify each other on sight like some kind of denim-clad secret society. And the debrief would begin. Did you see the New Testament video? Did you tape it? Please tell me you taped it. Who was that band with the crazy drummer? I missed the name. And if one of you had taped the show, if one of you had successfully executed the VCR mission, you were royalty. That tape would get passed around, copied, degraded down to 4th generation static fuzz, and watched like it was the Zapruder film. I remember a kid named Dave, sophomore year, who had taped an episode with an early Sepultura video on it. Dave was not cool. Dave became cool for approximately 3 weeks on the strength of that VHS tape alone. That was the economy we lived in. And this is what I mean when I say Headbangers Ball was our internet. It wasn't just a TV show. It was our search engine, our news feed, our discovery algorithm, our social network, and our streaming service, all crammed into 2 hours a week and delivered by a guy in a Cat House t-shirt. The videos were the content, but the scarcity was the culture. Now let's fast forward to today because this is where it gets interesting. Right now, at this exact moment, you can open YouTube and watch every metal video ever made. The famous ones, the obscure ones. Full concerts from 1985 shot on somebody's shoulder-mounted camcorder. Interviews, documentaries, isolated guitar tracks. A Norwegian teenager playing Angel of Death better than I ever played anything. All of it, instantly, free, and look, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that's bad. It's a miracle. 14-year-old me would have traded a kidney for it. Maybe both kidneys. I'd have figured out the kidney situation later. But here's what I've noticed, and tell me if you feel this too. When everything is available all the time, nothing is an event anymore. Nobody stays up for anything. Nobody records anything. Nobody waits for anything. There's no Monday morning debrief because there's no Saturday night appointment. The video isn't a lightning strike. It's just content. One more tile in an infinite scroll. We used to hunt metal. Now it's delivered. And I genuinely wonder, when a kid today discovers Slayer, and it takes 4 seconds and 0 effort, does it burrow into their soul the way it burrowed into ours? When you didn't have to sacrifice sleep for it? When you didn't have to hold the antenna? When your parents didn't have to disapprove of it? I don't know. Maybe it does. Great music finds a way. But I know this. The effort was part of the love. Every band I discovered on the ball or on some crackling late-night radio show came preloaded with a story. Where I was, what I risked, who I told. The music got fused to the memory. You can't stream that. And can we take a second to honor the technology we were working with? The VCR. My sworn enemy and dearest friend. Programming a VCR to record Headbangers Ball while you were out was a task with roughly the same success rate as the early space program. You'd set it for 11 p.m. Saturday. I once recorded an entire episode of something called Amazing Discoveries instead of The Ball. 2 hours of a man being astonished by a car wax. My buddy never let me live it down. Then there was the time we tuned my friend's mom's living room into a mosh pit. I'm talking circle pit in the living room. We were moshing around like maniacs, jumping on the couch, stepping on the end tables, knocking over the lamps. Sorry, Jeremy's mom. Obituary had played live on the ball, and we went nuts. True story, and the tapes themselves. You'd have one sacred VHS labeled Metal, Do Not Tape Over, in increasingly aggressive handwriting. Because your mom saw a blank-looking tape and thought, you know what would go great here? Murder, she wrote. Entire archives of irreplaceable metal history were lost to murder, she wrote. Somebody should build a memorial. But here's where I want to land this because there's something bigger going on. Headbangers Ball and those late-night radio shows weren't really about the videos or the songs. They were proof that we existed. Think about it. When you're 16, wearing a Creator shirt in a town full of people who think metal is devil worship or noise or a phase you'll grow out of, you start to wonder if maybe you really are alone. Maybe you really are the weird one. And then Saturday night at midnight, a TV channel, an actual national TV channel, says, no, there are enough of you that we made a show. There are millions of you. You are a nation. That late-night radio DJ playing Possessed at 1 a.m. was telling every kid lying awake in the dark the same thing. I see you. You're not alone. There are more of us. That's what the scarcity gave us that abundance can't. When metal only came through a few narrow cracks in the wall, everyone gathered at the cracks. And that's where we found each other. The ball wasn't just our internet. It was our town square, our church, if you'll forgive the irony. The one place and time where the whole scattered tribe showed up at once. Today, the wall is gone. Metal is everywhere, and I'm glad. But when the wall came down, the gathering place went with it. So yeah, the kids have every metal video ever made in their pocket, and that's genuinely wonderful. But we had Saturday night at midnight. We had the volume down low and one finger on record. We had the weak signal and the strong coffee. We had Monday mornings that felt like debriefings after a mission. They have everything, instantly. We had something, rarely, and somehow, I'd still take our version. Because when the ball came on, and that first video hit, and you were sitting 3 feet from the screen in a sleeping house, it didn't feel like watching TV. It felt like the mothership had finally made contact. So here's what I want to know from you. What was your late-night metal lifeline? Was it the ball? A local radio show? And if so, what was it called and who was the DJ? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee somebody else out there was lying in the dark listening to the exact same broadcast, and neither of you ever knew it, until now. And hey, if you think finding the music was hard back then, wait until I tell you what it took to actually learn to play it. No YouTube lessons, no tabs online, just a record player, cassette tapes in a jam box, a bad ear, and stubbornness. That story's coming next. Stay heavy.